Good evening. Welcome. I'm Deborah K. Henderson. I'm the chairperson for Jeffersonville Neighborhood Leadership Alliance. Those of you who have been in attendance at any of our meetings or events, you know my catchphrase. Strong neighborhoods make a strong city. And you can't hear me? Which is a darn shame because these are pearls of wisdom falling from my lips. But most importantly, you want to be able to hear the candidates after I get done talking. Anyway, the catchphrase, strong neighborhoods make a strong city. With that in mind, this evening exemplifies part of our mission at JNLA to encourage civic involvement in our diverse community. The League of Women Voters, like JNLA, is a nonpartisan organization. They've been around since 1920, and their mission to empower voters and defend democracy. In that vein, the South Central Indiana League coordinated the candidates forum for tonight, as well as the ones that were held in Charlestown and New Albany, and the final one, which is going to be held in Clarksville. The board members who are here, Barb Anderson, if you'll wave. Yay. Katie Hutchinson. Woo! Jennifer Commissar Kern, and Shiloh Harris. My job is now done because Katie is going to tell us about the process this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, and the League of Women Voters wants to thank JNLA for their partnership. We kind of hijacked this thing, really, which is what we like to do. First, when you are speaking, make sure that you hold the microphone in front of your mouth, not below your mouth, because when it's below your mouth, you can't hear me, but when it's in front of your mouth, you can hear me. Don't be afraid to get close. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to first introduce the mayoral candidates that have shown up today. They will have up to 5 minutes to introduce their platform. We will then introduce both city clerk candidates who will speak. We will then move to the council at large candidates, and then we'll go through council 1, 2, 3, and 5. 4 and 6 are running unopposed and will not be here tonight. Remember that you will have a maximum of 5 minutes to introduce yourself and your platform. Jennifer is right there with a time card. She will give you 1 minute, and then she will give you time. And when time comes up, I shut off the microphone. And 10 seconds after, I body slam you and tackle you to the ground because my bedtime is like super early. After everybody has had a chance to introduce him or herself and has introduced the platform on which they are running, we will then have time for questions. We do have some questions that were submitted by JNLA members ahead of time, but we also have Shiloh over at the sign-in table, and she has postcards and or index cards and pens if you want to write a candidate or a group of candidates a question. Questions are vetted, so no inappropriate questions will be asked of any of the candidates. If you have any questions, I'll be running around, and candidates, if you need water, we have those for you as well. Now Barb Anderson, our president, are you going to introduce these people, or you want me to introduce them? Oh. She's just going to ask the questions. So I am going to introduce Mr. Mayor Moore was not coming today, so our mayoral candidate this evening is Mr. Tom Galligan.
Thank you all. I want to thank the League of Women Voters and JNLA for sponsoring this, because this is an opportunity for me to get out and tell you what I'm about. I have been mayor before, and I want to be mayor again. And the reason I do is because this is the best job in the world, because you can help people who don't ever think they can get help. And that is really a wonderful feeling to be able to do that. And I've got numerous occasions where I've done that. The other thing is, I like some of the things that are going on, but I don't like the way they're going on. I don't like the way the city operation is run, because I don't like the way they're collecting money to run for mayor. Thank you. I'm running because I want to do some things for the city of Jeff like I've done before. I extended Court Avenue across crossed over to Missouri Avenue. I took down the two bridges, railroad bridges, over 10th Street and 9th Street. I've worked on the drainage down there so that we could get it to where it wouldn't flood M Fines. I want to work on drainage problems up in the East End, like Oak Park, where they flood every time somebody turns a garden hose loose. So I want to do some things positive. And the other thing is I'm going to maintain roads every year, not just at election time. And one of the things I want to do is appoint members from the community to boards instead of the mayor or anybody like that. I want to get public involved because that means there'll be a lot of information disseminated to the public and we'll have differing opinions, which is good. I want to be the mayor for everybody in the city of Jeff. There are no Republican potholes and there are no Democrat potholes. They're just potholes. And the same thing is with problems of all other sources. We have an opioid problem in Jeffersonville, just like everybody else does. I want to get back to doing some community policing so that we know what the neighborhoods are like. We know the people in the neighborhoods, and we can help stop some of the stuff from the grassroots instead of waiting till it gets real bad. Because it is easy for police officers to get out of the car, walk up and talk to people and get to know them, and that way they will get more information about what's going on and they will be able to help them because they'll know them on a first name basis. When I walk around here, all I hear is I never see a police car. There are speeders here. When I ask them about the speeding, they tell us there's nothing they can do. Well, if you have a straightaway that's got people speeding down it all the time and there's no stops or they won't stop, I can stop them. All you got to do is put one of those famous speed humps in and that'll slow them down, I guarantee you, and it'll help the neighborhood. I almost had a child run over one time on a road because the guy was speeding and my son was trying to get across the road and I got him to stop. But I'd hate to say what happened to me, if he'd have gotten ran over, because I would have witnessed it and I don't think I could have handled it. What I'm saying is our youth are important to us, our families are important to us, our neighborhoods are important to us, and you all are important to me because I want to help you do whatever I can to make this a better community. Thank you.
All right, now we have the city clerk candidates. So Lisa Gill, Jeff Frey, if you'll come up. No, don't leave, we'll have a question. I have questions. No, go ahead. All right, first we have Lisa Gill. Don't forget, there's your timer. She's
gonna tackle me and throw me to the ground. Hello, everyone. I'm glad to see so many out here because I value an educated voter. That's so important to me. Before I ran, I made sure I was at every one of these type of things to get to know the candidate because we represent you, and I've never forgotten that. I appreciate y'all having me here. Like I said, I am Lisa Gill, and I am the current city council person representing the 5th District, and I'm in my 2nd term, but I'm seeking the office of city clerk. Because as you all may or may not know, Vicki Conlon, who is our current clerk, decided to retire after this year. She's done an amazing job, and I had the privilege of helping her not only set up her office, but to establish an ordinance violation bureau. Why am I getting some? Anyhow, Vicki has done an amazing job, in which you don't realize that when we became a Class 2 city, she became the first city clerk for the city of Jeffersonville. So since I had the honor and privilege of working alongside her to help her establish that office and the Ordinance Violation Bureau, I know the duties of that office, and I know how important that office is. Some of those duties include, one of the most important ones is she's the keeper of all the records. And that is to make sure that all the minutes, All of the contracts, records, whether it's a resolution, ordinance, anything like that is kept and safeguarded. For anybody in the public that needs to see that, it can be accessed and it's there. I will properly upload anything that I need to either State Board of Accounts, so there's proper record there, or on a gateway. You will have access and you will know what's going on, what's been approved, and who has what contract, whatever it is that you need to know that's going on in the city of Jeffersonville. Also, the city clerk helps set up and also process the claims for not only the clerk's office, but also for the city council, the police merit board, the fire merit board, and also handles a lot of the insurance claims, like the property casualty, because all the insurance is under the city council's budget. So I am willing and able to get to work. I have never forgotten who I work for. So anybody that calls the clerk's office or comes into the clerk's office, you will see that I will lead that office with integrity, transparency, and efficiency. I got big shoes to fill because, like I said, Vicki has done an amazing job, and I will continue that, and I will be honored to serve you all if you come November 5th, if you support me as city clerk, and invite anybody to come into the office and see that I am a woman of my word. So I appreciate you all coming out, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
And Mr. Jeff Frey is next. You can, you can sit up here or go back, whatever. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. My name is Jeff Frey, and I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for putting this on and inviting me and be able to speak. It's a great venue. For you, some of you remember this was Bob Clark, Bill Scott, and Tom and the Hamheads put this thing together the first time, so it goes back a long ways. That's history of this gazebo. It's very good. This process of running reminds me a lot of playing basketball. When you started practice in October, you practice for 2 months. Practice. It's what we all do when we're running for office. We're keeping practice. We're going out and doing the things. And then finally you get to the point where you got your first game and they call, and it's pregame, and they call your names out, and that's where we're at tonight. We're almost there to the election time, and it's pregame, and you finally get to go and see what happens in the game. So that's why I'm happy to be here and see the people here. Lisa gave a good overview of what the clerk does. That's what I've been trying to tell people about. The clerk's office is an extremely important office. It is the history of Jeffersonville in that office. Everything that needs to be known from years past has to be there. So it is an extremely important office. Personally, I'm qualified for this office. I've been working in downtown Jeffersonville for 49 years at Office Supply Company. I've been running it myself for the last 25 years. I'm well versed in all of the regulations and things that need to be done within running a business. The staff that there is in place now in the clerk's office, there's 3 qualified people that are working there now, plus the clerk. So, and also, Vicki has told me that in this transition, she would be happy and available for the transition to help me in any way she can. As far as background, I've got family roots here from back when I was in the 2nd grade. My father, my mother, my father built the library and started Office Supply. My mother was a librarian at the Kentucky School for the Blind. My wife's from here. My sons and daughters graduated here. They've moved on, but they're still a part of the community. I can't emphasize as much the importance of this job. And it is a clerical job in a lot of ways. But as a good friend of mine and a proud veteran of the Korean War, Ted Throckmorton, used to tell me he was a member of the Remington Raiders. He was trained to be a combat officer, but he was chosen to be a part of the people that recorded and transpired all the correspondence for the war. So, saying that, I feel like I am going to be a Remington Raider and be able to take care of all the city business which needs to be taken care of. If I've still got some time, one of my things that I want to do as clerk, you will have access to all of the departments within the city. I want to provide the process of good management. If one department comes up with an idea that might benefit the rest of the departments, I want to know that. I want to pass that information along to better the community and the city government. So, that being said, I'd like to say thank you for the time here, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Frey. I would like to invite all City Council at-large members or candidates to the stage, please. That's Scott Hawkins, Jeremy Snelling, Ron Ellis, Miguel Hampton, and Jason Slater. And while they're coming up, we're going to go in that order. You do not have to be a woman to be in the League of Women Voters. There are lots of women. Right now, most of us are married. But, you know, it's a good start. We have single friends, in case you're interested. Or if you love volunteering, you can be on our mailing list. Shiloh is at the table. And I do want to thank all the candidates for coming out. You are getting more exposure than just those people are here, because people are on Facebook and commenting, and the paper's here, and that camera angle is horrible. Whoever set that phone up obviously hates everyone on stage. All right, Mr. Hawkins, Scott Hawkins, City Common Council at Large, you have 5 minutes.
Hey, Scott Hawkins. I'm currently a city councilman for the 6th District, and I'm running at large. And I'd like to first thank the ladies for organizing this. Katie in particular has answered my questions. I really didn't know what I was getting into about this time yesterday. She said, just come and introduce yourself, tell where you've been and what you've done on the city and what the plans are. And I said, I can do that. So I've been a Jeff boy my whole life. I've been in and around Jeffersonville, product of a single mom that I'm still happy to have living close by. And, you know, growing up in Jeff, had a lot of people, being a product of a single home, you had a lot of people who pitched in. Football coaches, baseball coaches, teachers that I had, and that stuck with me. And I appreciated it then, and I appreciate it now. But I was a handful. I was, let's just say I was a rascal. I think that would be fair. And it was, and in forums like this, I often have to take a second, and I feel like I should apologize to my mother for what I put her through. So, sorry again, Mom, I love you. And so I was just your typical rudderless kid looking for something, and I was fortunate enough, and I found that something when I met my wife, Kimberly. And she gave me a direction, and the direction was that you don't live yourself for yourself. You live your life for others. And that was hammered home with the birth of our 2 sons. And many of you here have children, and many of you, I've had your children in class. And you know that. And it's not about what you can do for yourself, it's what you can do for other people. And that's why I chose as my profession the glittery lights and big paychecks of being a classroom teacher. And I have done that for 25 years at Jeffersonville High School. I teach government and histories of various kinds. And that's just part of that giving back. And it continued on, and that's the way I see public service. That's the way I see the city council. It's just another way to give back to the community that gave to me. I'm not a politician. I guess by the definition I am. I hold public office and I run for office, but I'm just a guy who's trying to do right for his community. I take every issue as it comes to me. I do not, as everyone on the council can attest, I do not make deals. I do not give my vote for another vote. I'm authentic. I educate myself on every issue that's before me. Sometimes I know nothing about them. We wrote for example, we rewrote the city's animal ordinance. I had no idea what the animal ordinance was in Jeff, as most people don't. So that required a lot of education. You have to have a steep learning curve. And I can see Joe Hurt here, a fireman here. I had to learn all about their scheduling. And then I was the person who negotiated the contracts with police and fire. So the learning curve, as every city councilman will tell you, is steep, and you have to be ready for that. So, city councilman, I've been a city councilman now 4 years, and I think I have a record that, well, I know, I'm very proud of it. We have 4 balanced budgets. We haven't raised taxes. Something that was very important to me was to increase the number of firefighters and policemen that we have, and by my count, about 14 police and 15 fire or thereabouts in my 4 years. That's a substantial increase. I also was part of the Economic Redevelopment Commission, and we voted in Jeffersonville's Promise, which is a scholarship that the kids of Jeffersonville get if they want to proceed with a Ivy Tech certificate or degree and they can't afford it. The City Redevelopment Commission chips in to get those jobs that River Ridge so desperately needs. So that's something else I was very proud of. So my time on the Jeffersonville Council is really just an extension of really what I think my time in the classroom was. I'm a hard worker, I educate myself, and then I'm just who I am. And as far as what will lie ahead, what is my platform? Well, I really don't have one, because I'm not one of those people that's going to make these promises. Because on the city council, you don't make promises. Other people have to agree with you. You need the mayor and 5 other people to get anything done. So what I promise to do is just keep being me. I'm going to learn on every issue that I can. I'm going to follow through when people reach out to me, and I've gotten calls. You wouldn't believe what people will call their city councilman about. And I will try my best to help every one of those people. And lastly, I have 1 minute left. I'm going to leave everyone, since we're in campaign season, it can often be ugly. None of that, I will not, I don't mention my opponents when I'm out. I don't want any part of that ugliness. And I'm going to lay a challenge to everyone, and you included, not just the candidates. But I have to tell a little story first, and it's a sweet story. My grandmother, who I'm still fortunate enough to have with us, is 90 plus, and her health is good, but as many grandmothers that age, her mind isn't what it was. And she was driving down the road with my mother and saw my sign and said, "That's Scott. He's such a sweet boy." And then she forgot that statement. She drove a little further with my mom and saw my sign and said, "That Scott, he's such a good boy." And this went on several times. Well, that's how I now lead my life. I want to be the person my grandmother thinks that I already am. And that's the challenge I have for all the candidates, to do that and remember that as we go through this trying process. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Matt Owen had to work and has not gotten here yet. So next up is Jeremy Snelling. You were this close to being tackled, by the way. Time was up for like 10 seconds.
Good evening, everybody. Again, my name is Jeremy Snelling. Thank you all for being out here tonight, and thank you all for putting this event on. When I was first told there was going to be an event tonight, and then I got an email saying it was being canceled, I was let down because I love events like this. You know, not only do I want to be there as a candidate, but I also like to come to like myself, educate people, you know, myself on the vote, you know, who's running. And then I heard it was back on, and it was a combined group that night on an email. A second email came through, and so I was very happy to see that this event so happened. So thank you all very much for doing this. A little bit about myself. I'm married. I have 3 children, beautiful children. Sorry, bring it up the mouth, she said. Usually I'm a loud mouth, so they say not to. But I've lived in Jeffersonville my whole life. I've been involved in a lot of civil communities in this area. And so one of the reasons why I chose to run at large. Even though if you run a district and you're on there, you're still making decisions for the whole city. But to me, I wanted to make sure that the voters and the community knew I was for all of Jeffersonville, not just one area, not one project. I wanted everybody to know that if you're on the east end, the newer development, or if you're down here where it's being redeveloped, we're all the same. And when it comes to politics, I got an R behind my name. People knows I'm a Republican. But when it comes to local politics, R&D means nothing, or independent. It's the person. It's if you know your neighbor, if you know the family of people, if you get out in the community and learn who they are. One thing I do, I work for the sheriff's office. I'm very proud of, employee of the sheriff's office. And something Tom kind of said about how he's been going door to door, and myself, they said they don't see as many police officers. Well, there is one way to fix that. Let's add more police officers. Let's add more firefighters. Jeffersonville has grown leaps and bounds over the years. And one thing that people don't realize is what the population is during the work week. With River Ridge, people from Louisville coming over daily, we're doubling our size. And that means we need more department strength. We need men and women working for us, and we need to back them. When it comes to the infrastructure, Jeffersonville has been growing, but there's much more to be done. One area just right down the street is going to be the Jeff Boat area. That's one area I'm very excited about, that Jeffersonville needs to make sure we handle that properly, that the right developers come in, we have the right ideas, because that's a prime real estate, great opportunity for our community. And I think our community needs to have a say in what goes on there. My father is Monty Snelling. Most of you probably know him. He's the treasurer, was the auditor. I want everybody to know I'm the one that got my father in politics. Even by, he's been the one elected and stuff. I'm actually the one who went to him and said, Dad, you need to step up when I was young. I got involved at an early age in politics. If you all can remember back, I was 19 years old, and Jeffersonville had one of the first shootings, and it was over by Parkview Middle School. And there was a task force put together for the community, the ways we can improve safety, how we can help our children. And that's when I got involved. And like I said, I was 18 years old when that happened. And I'm now 43. And I've tried to stay involved throughout my whole life. Now that my kids are getting older, by my son, Christian's 13, I can now take time to run and be there for the community. Like I said, safety is very important to me. That's why I said we need more men and women in fire, police. I see it daily, the crime rate, the opiate rate. So what we need to do is make sure our houses, our people are protected. When it comes to income, the tax dollar, Jeffersonville has done very well on their spending, but there's always so much more we can do. We need to look for more development. We need to look for developers that will come in the area that will work with the housing to make things more affordable for people. Anything we can do to put the community first, that's what I want to do. I don't know how many questions we have, so if there's any questions you want to ask me afterwards, please do so. And on November 5th, I ask you for your support and vote for Jeremy Snelling at large. Thank you.
Yeah. Here you go. If you have questions or you think of questions that you want to ask, Shiloh is right here, and we'll bring you an index card with a pen. If you have a question, Miss Shepard has a question. Just hold your hand up and she'll come around. Let's see. Next is Ron Ellis.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. All right. Maybe I should say good evening. But my name is Ron Ellis. Now, I would like to thank the JNLA and the League of Women Voters for putting this on this evening. I really appreciate the confidence that you've had in me in the past to elect me to the City Council. I've been elected twice from a district in Jeffersonville. It was District 2. And now I was chosen to fulfill the term of Josh Rodriguez by caucus. I'm fulfilling that term now, but I hope to represent you for 4 more years. Besides being your representative, I'd like for you to know that I'm a 24/7 council person. If you called my house at 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to answer the phone, and I'm going to try to address whatever problem you have. Can I solve it all the time? Most of the time I can't solve it, but at least I can get the wheels turning to where we can get it solved. One of the things that I'm running for is our budget. In the past 3 years, I have seen the city budget just blown away. And when I say blown away, we have some departments in the city that come to every city council meeting asking for an additional appropriation because they know we have some type of surplus. Folks, we need to use that surplus for better streets, to relieve the sewer rates. And there's a consent agreement that the city has with the EPA that we have to do something about. If we don't do something about it, then the EPA and the Department of Justice has promised to fine us. I hope that we don't have to appropriate money to pay a fine to the federal government. Another thing that I will say, I was born and raised in this city of Jeff. Been here longer than just about any of the people that's running for any of the offices today. I'm the oldest child of 16 children. I have a combined family. My wife and I have a combined family of 10 children, 16 grandchildren, and at last count, and it's getting ready to change again, 31 great-grandchildren. So the things that I do here in Jeffersonville is to see that my children, as well as your children, your grandchildren, and those that come behind us, have a city that they can live in. We need to promote jobs that pay a livable wage. We've got a lot of people in this city that can't afford to live. I want to do something about encouraging businesses to come that pay more than $9 or $10 an hour, more than $12 or $13 an hour. I worked for 33 years for Pillsbury, and if I'd have been making $13, $15 an hour, I never would have been able to raise my children. And I hope that we can work together, and I'm confident that the persons that are running for city council now are, well, I like them all. So I'm confident that we can all work together. We can reach out and look at our budgets and look at other things that our cities need, and hopefully work for you. We're working for you and not for ourselves. The other thing before I shut up is I would like for you to know that I am a United Methodist pastor. I pastor DePaul Memorial United Methodist Church in New Albany, and I put God before I do everything else. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. And our next candidate at large is Miguel Hampton.
Well, good evening. And thanks to League of Women, so I can get that out of my mouth, the League of Women Voters and JNLA for putting this on. I think the community needs to do more of these throughout the year. I think our elected officials definitely should do more engagement with the community as well. My name is Miguel Hampton. I am running for City Council at large, and this November I would like your vote. So I'll start out like this, because my wife told me to be honest. I hate stump speeches. I'm more of a get it done. Let's look at the big picture, put the dots where they need to be, make the squares, and build it out. I've been here for 15 years, not from Jeffersonville originally. To be honest, I'm not from much of anywhere originally. I'm relatively nomadic until we came here. And so I met my wife, Tia, who was from Jeffersonville in undergrad at Wilberforce University. And I drug her to Utah, almost to further out west, and then we ended up landing in New Jersey, and then we almost ended up in Rhode Island, back to Ohio, and then she said, hey, I'm pregnant, I'm going home, and here we are. So I count that. My daughter will be 16 in this coming February, and we've been married for 17 years, and I'm blessed and I'm happy to call Jeffersonville the first place I've ever called home. Now that brings to why am I running for city council. In the 15 years we've been here, I remember the first time I came to Jeff and we were in undergrad, and I said Jeffersonville is going to grow, and we're going to have a significant boom in this community, and I wonder if our city sees it. And in the 15 years I've been here, I believe some have, and I believe some have been proactive to the growth. I believe some have been reactive to the growth. And I'll be honest, not to throw mud, I think some don't have a clue. And I think when we're talking about leadership, we're talking about growing a community, growing a business, it's about understanding the big vision. It's about understanding everyone and not just the sum. of us. You know, we live in a community where I have experienced talking and working with people who are homeless. I've experienced the opportunity of working with people who would like to start businesses. I am an entrepreneur myself, and that is actually by circumstance because I hold 2 degrees in business management. My highest rank is vice president of sales. And when we landed here, I couldn't find a job that would pay me more than $30,000 a year, so I created my own. And I think there's a lot of opportunity in that in terms of how we entice and as well as bring in new business, how we create and develop opportunities for entrepreneurs to grow their own business. I think we can start that at our education system. And I think it just comes back to great leadership, good leadership. And I'm going to wrap it up. So I believe in transparency. I believe in growth. I believe in big vision. I believe in seeing the future and understanding how we get there and not looking at what's happening just today. So I'd rather sit down with you and learn a little bit more about where you are, where you live, what you'd like to see out of your leaders, your elected officials, and let's chat. My name is Miguel Hampton. I'm running for City Council at large. I'd like your vote this November. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hampton. And our last at-large is Jason Schlater, and then we have 5 left to introduce, and then we'll do questions.
How y'all doing today? I appreciate everyone coming out. I appreciate the League of Women. I appreciate JNLA for having us out here, and I appreciate my wife for being at home with my 2 kids right now. It's fabulous to have a great family. One thing I like to do before we get started, I want everyone to look around and look at each other. This is important because this is a community. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat, if you're Republican, if you're independent. We're all in this for the same reason. We want to make our city better. Now, we each have different thought process of how we arrive at this. And I disagree strongly with some of the discussions that have been current in our city. We do not have transparency as been touted. We've heard about the State Board of Accounts. We heard about the Department of Local Government Finance. As a candidate, as a citizen, a resident of this community, you should not have to file a request for public record to get information about our city. I had to do that. Now, why is that important? That's important because our general fund in our city is basically only based off 1/3 of the total gross assessed value of this entire city. So that means anytime the fire department, anytime the police department is trying to fund themselves, they have to ask the general fund to say, look, we need more people. Well, the problem is our city has grown past that rate because your general fund can only grow based on what your levy is. The issue with that is that we have put a large concentration on our tax increment finance districts and also on River Ridge. So it's important to remember that no tax dollars off of property from River Ridge comes back to the general fund above a base assessed value. We have to increase our general fund. Now, we heard about that we're going to have open records. I came out talking about this. When I came out and I said, fix it now, not later, vote Jason Schlater, I wasn't talking about just the roads. I was talking about access to information. Now, over the next couple years, we're going to hit a crisis where we're spending a lot of our money on our debt. We're approaching $200 million in debt, if not more. We have a sewer project that's coming in that you heard about that's a consent decree that we've known about for 8 years. We're going to have to tear roads up and sidewalks up that we just put in, knowing that we were going to have to do this sewer project. This is a major issue. We have to get together. We have to address these issues. I went to school at Ball State. I first went to Hanover for 1 year. For an economics degree, I transferred to Ball State, and I got a degree in economics there, and I got a degree in architecture. I then worked in an architecture firm in Florida, and then I worked in Louisville for an architecture firm. It's Luckett Farley. I worked there for almost 10 years. We handled some massive projects over there. Churchill Downs expansion, the University of Louisville Papa John's Cardinal Stadium expansion. One of the important things that I learned while I was there was about brownfield sites. Jeffersonville has one of the largest brownfield sites in southern Indiana right now, and that's with Jeff Boat. Having me on the city council isn't going to be an asset. That's what I'm advocating for. That's the reason why I'm doing this research. This is the reason why I'm getting out here, is I want to get onto the city council to help this city move forward. Once I get elected to the city council, it's not about being a Democrat, about being a Republican. It's about being part of a team. and how we can share information to move this city forward. If we're not willing to negotiate with each other to try to get this city moving forward, we're going to keep hitting walls. And part of them walls is a lack of information. We absolutely should have every single piece of information available for every resident, for every candidate, for everybody. Now, everyone's heard that we came over $1.5 million under budget on a 10th Street project. Back in February, I had requested that I wanted to have documents. I wanted to see contract summary sheets. I was told that there were no contract summary sheets. So tell me how we know that we're under budget if we're not willing to provide contract summary sheets. That's what I'm advocating for. I'm advocating for transparency, accountability. I'm advocating for the city of Jeffersonville in 14. I appreciate you all coming out. Anything you want to talk about, I will gladly talk with you all. Thanks again. Thanks fire department, police department, and everyone else that takes care of this city. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Schneider. Dustin White is not present. Mary Jo Perico is our Council District 1 candidate for this evening. I'm sorry, I should have warned you to come up. Oh, yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Pamela Clark, Jo Perico, Audrey Baynes, Steve Gill, and Donnie Croft, who's already up here. If you guys will go ahead and come up, we'll go through the rest of these. Mr. Hawkins has to leave, but I have his email address and his phone number, his home phone, if anybody needs it. I'll pass that out for you. Thank you. You guys be safe. All right, Mary Jo, you ready?
Okay, please bear with me. This is the first time I've ever done this, and I'm going to be loud. My name is Mary Jo Perico, and I'm running for District 1 City Council Representative as an independent. Thank you very much, League of Women Voters and JNLA, for having me out tonight. This is going to be a great experience, and the clock is ticking, so here we go. I didn't want to miss anything because I have a lot of things to say. It just so happened about the time I stopped working, our neighbors were commiserating about loud noise events at the Big Four Station Park, again, as we had done for the previous year or two. There comes a point when commiserating doesn't cut it. After a while, we become part of the problem and for not speaking up. Most of us have lived in Rose Hill for decades before the park was built. I thought if more time elapses and nothing is done, we own that problem. It has been an uphill battle to fight for our protections from excessive loud noise. And I don't want to say anything bad against the policemen because I know that they're under the direction of the mayor. For example, one night at 9:30 p.m., a promoter turned up the volume so loud on the stage that neighbors immediately ran into the street very upset that their lives and their own homes were invaded with excessively loud volume. The promoter said she had a permit and would not respond to my pleas to turn it down. The police said that they could not do anything until after it was over. Early in the summer, I called Dustin White and left a message. Then I ended up taking the lead. Okay. Well, I'm running because we don't have representation. I am running because we don't have leadership. I am running because the citizens of downtown and probably in the whole district are not having their quality of life needs met. And if nobody's going to be running, I'm going to challenge the incumbent. And that is why I am running. And I will represent everybody. I've lived here for 15 years. I've worked with both the Galligan and the Moore administration to save a historic home and move it on our lot. I want honesty and openness. I want, I'd never expected that I would be running for office, but when you have your very home invaded and no protections, you've got to fight for it. And there's a lot of us in town who are as angry as I am, and we want to do something about this. And we also need to have representation. We have to have people who are going to vote at the city council for the reappropriation for money for the sewer project and not no. We want people who are going to follow through with the urban enterprise zone advice from the legal attorney not to enter into an agreement that goes against what the urban enterprise zone is supposed to do. Now there's litigation, and that is not what a representative would do. You can't run and hide. You can't do cloak and dagger. You have to have a way, you have to be an adult to communicate, prioritize, listen, and that is what I'm going to do. So what else do I have on the other side here? Have you noticed an increase over the last few years of the number of homeless individuals downtown and probably in the entire district? We must progress in helping those, for example, with recovery or mental health services, and push to get results from resources and providers who have been tasked to execute a plan of action. We need to implement a more effective system to move people into safer, more stable situation and guide them on a path to a productive life. And if it wasn't for this quality of life issue, I wouldn't be up here running, but there is a lot that's going on. There's a lot that nobody has paid attention to when we're supposed to have representation. And now I'm awake, and I'm running, and I'm going to be your representative. Please vote for me. Thank you.
All right. Our next is Pamela Clark, District 2. Mr. Burns did not respond. Just kidding. He responded. He's just busy. He had another appointment. Okay. He wanted to.
Okay, I had nothing to do with that. Good evening. My name is Pamela Clark. I am running for City Council for District 2, and I was born in Louisville, Kentucky, but I was raised here in Jeffersonville. I am 57 years old. I have been married for 33 years. My husband is from Evansville, Indiana, but of course he loved me so much, so he moved here. I have 2 adult children. I have 1 granddaughter that is 10. And one day we were driving while they were doing the construction on 10th Street, and my granddaughter, she always said she wanted to go down and talk to the mayor. She said, I'm going to talk to the mayor because these streets have been torn up long enough, and she's only 10. And I would say, well, it's going to be really pretty when they finish, because she doesn't drive. She doesn't know the importance of having nice streets and roads. And so she went on to say that I would like for you to take me down there so I can talk to him. But we never did make it down there. But the reason that I'm running is because of my granddaughter and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren. And I decided to run because this is my city as well. I want to make sure that my community and that Jeffersonville keeps moving forward, but in the proper way, going through the process, making sure everyone is involved. I have been in public health for over 25 years. I covered 6 states. I worked for the American Cancer Society for 9 years. I covered 6 states, was on a plane every week, and I supervised women who fought to make sure that women did not fall between the cracks to get their mammograms, to get their... So this is what I did at the state level. I worked with... Public health has always been... It's been my heart. It's what I love to do. It's my passion as a caregiver. It's going to the State House and talking about making sure, for example, we're doing a study right now where we're talking about kinship, caregiver. There are parents out there taking care of their grandkids because their kids are on drugs, but they're not getting any kind of support. Right. So what I want to know is, what is it that you need? When I go and knock on doors, I ask, what do you need? What can I do for you? But I don't want to be the one that says she got elected, I don't see her anymore. I want you to see me. I want to be available for you. I want to hear you. It's about listening. We have to listen, and I'm going to tell you, I'm the first one in my family that's got into the politics arena. I am the first one. I'm the baby of 10. I have 20-something nieces and nephews. And I'm telling you, I have some well-educated folks in my family that are very proud of the work that I'm getting ready to do. All right. And I thank God for having this opportunity. I thank God that you came out this evening, because you don't know me, but I care. I care and I want to listen. So if you know anyone that lives in District 2, please tell them to vote for Pam Clark. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. District 2. And District 3, both of our representatives are present. And Jo Perico will speak first.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. Thanks for coming out today. It's a beautiful evening. My name is Jo Perico, and I'm currently serving as the District 3 City Council person. The main reason I'm serving is to serve. I've done different things as far as giving my time at our church. I belong to First Christian Church. They're off Middle Road, and I've donated my time in different ways. I'm the drummer in the band, and I'm the deacon. I've been a deacon, and I'm currently an elder. So I just wanted to serve in a different way, and this opportunity came up in June, and they caucused me in. Callie Yon was our district representative, and she got married and moved to Charlestown. So that's why I'm here. My main thought process since I've been on the council, it's been a wonderful experience. I've learned a whole lot. But when I'm thinking about how I'm going to vote on an issue, it really comes down to what's best for Jeffersonville. That's how I always, in my mind, try to make a vote, because that's what it's all about. It's not about me. It's not about being political in any way. It's just about what's best for Jeffersonville. And so I had someone right at the start give me good advice and say, just try to do the right thing when you're voting. And so far, that's what I've tried to do. So the main purpose, I feel like, as a city councilman, that we provide is trying to improve the quality of life in Jeffersonville. I feel like that's the key, and it works with we work with the mayor and all the city departments that are involved in making these decisions, and the quality of life being like the new sidewalks, that improves our quality of life for sure. Paving the roads, obviously, that's it. The river stage, that's been wonderful, in the last number of years to have that to go to on Friday nights. The walking bridge, I mean, it goes on as far as how we've improved the city, and that's what it comes down to. The last thing is just spending the money wisely. A big part of the city council is watching the money go out, watching the money come in. That's a huge role in the city council. We're the fiscal body, and it's a checks and balance to the mayor and to all the department heads, and we watch that. And I tell you, Lisa Gill has done a wonderful job, and I've tried to learn as much as I can. I've been in meetings with her on Fridays before the Monday meetings, and they'll go through every line, every check that goes out. They'll watch what's being spent to make sure we're not being taken advantage of, and I think that's super important. Finally, I can tell you about my family. I've been married for 18 years. I have 2 wonderful girls, and I love being a dad. And my favorite night is family movie night, and we live up on Utica Pike, and I've grown up here my whole life basically, but I love Jeffersonville, and I appreciate everyone coming out. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. And also from District 3, Audrey Baynes. I mispronounced her name last time. I said Barnes. It's Baynes. Miss Baynes, you're so welcome.
First of all, I would like to say that every week during my campaign, I always want to say something from my heart and a scripture on my lips. So this week has just been grateful. Every day I'm grateful. Because, I've never heard that before. Usually it's like, Audrey, stop talking, don't talk so loud. But I just want to thank Jo for stepping in when Callie left. And when I got out of the primary, the first thing people said was, Jo Perico is a nice guy. And I've gone out and I've heard that throughout the community. I just want to say that I am a full-time mom to 2 boys with autism. I was doing foster care for 13 years. And so when I look at all the qualified candidates, and I mean everyone is qualified, so you cannot go wrong with who you vote for. I am the least qualified because I haven't been in the workforce since 2008, when I was placed, a young man was placed with me with severely autistic and behaviors and things like that. But I feel like that gives me something that everyone else doesn't have, because when I go out door to door, and trust me, I go door to door, I want to shake everybody's hand. I want to go to everybody's door and knock. And somebody said, well, I'm a Mike Moore guy. I said, well, I'm not running against Mike Moore. But let me tell you about me. And I'll tell you that I'm a mother of 2 boys. I moved back in with my parents when my mother became ill with cancer. And in the middle of her fight, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. But I wasn't going to give it the power over me. I was going to design my own fate over cancer. Then my mother said, you've done so much for me, I want you to do something for yourself. And I didn't know what she meant. At a friend's wake from high school, someone asked me to run for city council, and I said, well, no, why would I run for city council? And somebody else said, run for city council, and I said, no again. Then I thought, maybe that's what my mother intended when she said to go out and do something for yourself. Whether I win, lose, or draw, I've had a great time. I've had a great time. I go out with a very good friend of mine who was a fireman for 40 years, and we go out and we knock on doors, and he said, why is it that I'm out here knocking on more doors than you, and you sitting in there when we out in 98-degree heat having a cold beverage? It's because, you know, I want to be relatable. I want to meet people where they are, not where I want them to be. Because I'm a single mother right now of 2 boys. I have an older child that was an immigrant. So when I hear Trump talking about immigrants, that was my son. And I don't think of him any differently than any of my other children. Stefan's one of my original 3 adult children. So I'm out there every day talking to people about common everyday issues, you know, child care, schools, affordable housing, you know, because if it was not for the grace of God, so go I, you know. I'm low income, not because I'm lazy, because I took in children that the state had nowhere to place them. I'm on Medicaid, not because I can't afford insurance, it's because that's my situation. You know, so many times people say, oh, you don't work, you're on Medicaid. No, everybody is not lazy. Everybody is not trying to get over. So affordable housing to me means some of our parents that are at our high schools and our schools, our teachers who are working 2 and 3 jobs just to maintain. So I just want to be that candidate for everyone, because I'm just an everyday person, and I can attest to Jeff Frey over there, because, you know, I'm a past basketball player. So I'm approaching this like a basketball game. Practice, 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 then when it comes time, game on.
Thank you, Ms. Baynes. Steve Gill had to leave. He's a firefighter and an EMT, and they got called all cars in, so he did have to leave. I'm just going to briefly read the statement that he had prepared to read for himself. Steve Gill is a candidate for Jefferson County Council District 5. He is married to Lisa Gill, who also had to leave because she didn't have a house key. And they have 1 child, Caitlin Beeks. He's currently the vice president of the Jeffersonville Drainage Board, which he's been on for 8 years, board member of the Utica Township Fire Board, part small business owner, and he has been a firefighter and EMT for 30 years. He's also partnered with Clark County Cares and is an active member in his community. He's running for Jeffersonville City Council to be the voice for the residents of our district by making sure that their concerns are heard and addressed. He believes his experience as a public servant has prepared him to serve as your next city council person. Jeffersonville is fast growing, and with that growth may come financial challenges, including more police and fire personnel and increased city services. As a city council person, we need to make sure that when they increase service, that we do it in a way that is sustainable within the budget. His goal is to keep spending within the budget while promoting citywide efficiency, investing in city infrastructure, public safety, and balanced commercial development, including more set-down restaurants. Again, Steve Gill humbly asks for your vote this November. Thank you. That was really good. I also love the sound of my own voice. Our last council candidate for District 5 is Mr. Donnie Croft.
Thank you all very much. Thanks for having us. Had a little back surgery, so I'm a little unstable here. I'm fine. I can stand here. Hell yes. All right, if you can hear me. Name's Donnie Croft. I'm running for the 5th District City Council, which encompasses Holman's Lane, part of Utica Pike, kind of the mid part of this city. I can see the house I grew up in from here. I went to St. Augustine's grade school for 8 years. Went to Jeffersonville High School for 4 years. I went to the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy for 16 weeks. I went to the FBI school in Quantico, Virginia for 4 weeks. I went to ATF school in Huntsville, Alabama at the Red Arsenal for 4 weeks. So all that said, you know, I'm a retired cop and retired insurance investigator. That is my background. And I know these streets. I know the streets. And with every municipality, we got issues. We got flooding. We got a bumpy street. We got this. We got that. That's been the way when I was working parking meters up and down the street in 1973. It was the same complaints. But now, after being retired from DEA and this police department, my concern is our children. Hold on. There's 92 counties in Indiana, and we're 3rd in the state for child deaths, neglected abuse. We're 2nd in the nation. Kentucky's 1st. It's all about drug abuse. Methamphetamine, that's what it is. It is destroying everything. Everything. When I left the DEA, there was 37 of us. Now I think they got 10. So where's our priorities here? Is it a bumpy street or is it little babies? And if you let me, I'll work my ass off every day. That's all I've got to say. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Croft. All right, so now we have some questions for our mayoral candidate, and then we have some questions for our council members at large, and yeah, I mean, you can leave, don't leave. And our president, Barb Anderson, is going to ask our questions. Yes.
Okay, Tom, the first question, we asked JNLA, since they were partnering with us, to submit some questions ahead of time. So we're going to ask those as well as these. If any of you have developed any questions, just raise your hand and Shiloh will bring you a card. We've only gotten a couple, so feel free to do that. Mayor, Jeff Boat, what's your vision for this site? Do you think there will be cleanup left for the city of Jeff to do?
Yeah. I got a timer back here. It's got 30 seconds in a minute. Jeff Boat what we need to do with Jeff Boat is work with Jeff Boat and the neighboring housing, so that we put something in there that fits the area appropriately and that works. It doesn't do any good to have something in there that is going to bring a lot of traffic and there's not enough road to take care of it. I want to work with them, not fight them. And the other thing is I want to work with the neighborhoods, and that's why we started the neighborhood association, because they need to be involved in the discussions of Jeff Boat, because it affects them. And it affects everybody in the city, but it really affects the people in the neighborhoods. And I've worked in Jeff Boat for 30 years. I know everybody up there. And we can work together with them, and they will not leave the cleanup to us because we won't let them. That is a giant brownfield, and we'll work with them to go. My 31 seconds is up.
Oh, yeah, there's more. Will you commit to giving Greater Clark County Schools 15% of TIF funds that are allowed by state law?
I will not commit to 15% because I don't know what is committed in the TIFs. But I will tell you this, I will give them something, and I will try to work with them as best I can to give as much as I can. But we got to see what the debt is before we can start giving up the money. And we can work from here forward on making sure any other revenue comes in that it gets given to them proportionately, the way it needs to be.
Do you believe the gender and racial makeup of your direct hires should reflect the gender and racial makeup and demographics of our city?
Yes, I do. What I told a young lady back there just a few minutes ago, I hire smarter people than me. Okay? I've hired people of all nationalities. I want the best minds to work in this city to help move it forward. Doesn't make any difference what their color is, what their religion is, anything. I want good people. And I'm committed to making sure we keep a fair representation for our departments and my administration.
There are huge problems in Oak Park as far as drainage is concerned. While the residents appreciate what has been done, in many cases it's created more problems than not. We continually are told the reason for that is that the approach to the drainage issue lies with the Oak Park Conservancy. What are you willing to do to help the residents of Oak Park?
First of all, Oak Park Conservancy District and the City of Jeff need to work together because the City of Jeff has the streets. Oak Park has the backyards. I've already went up to Oak Park, talked to them, and said, I want to work with you. Now, when it rains in Oak Park, there's a lot of places you can't get through, and people got water up to their doors. We have the same thing some places in Jeff. We've tried to eliminate that. But we need to start working with Oak Park to eliminate that in the people in Oak Park Conservancy District, to eliminate that in Oak Park. And you can do that very systematically. It's not going to be done overnight. It's going to take a couple of years, but we ought to be able to make a big dent in it if we work at it. What was the other question?
That's it. Thank you, Mr. Galligan. That was really good too. He did say under a minute for all of them, really, because I would have tackled you. He would like more seconds. That will be on his docket as well. All right, here we go. One question for Jeff Frey.
Okay, Jeff. I'll go ahead and ask it while you're on the way up so you can think about it. Does the office need more employees, upgraded technology, and upgraded equipment?
I'll take it here. Like I said, there are 3 employees.
You think you're loud, but you're not.
There are currently 3 employees in the clerk's office, plus the clerk, so that makes 4. I don't think there needs to be any more people there. I've talked to, and I see them every week. They're all competent, and they do a good job. Technology-wise, I've talked to the IT director, and he has told me kind of a background of what he does and what they farm out to various vendors that supply the IT and like the YouTube that the city council is on, that type of thing. So technology-wise, I think they're up to speed. Now, if I get in there and I find out things, there's plenty of places throughout the state where there's conferences where you can meet with other clerks. And like I say, I know the clerk treasurer in Sellersburg, I know the clerk treasurer in Clarksville, I know everybody in the county offices. So I have access to technology outside of the city, and I think that will help. Answer? Good?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, good job. I did almost fall down the stairs. That camera probably caught that. All right, next question is
There's one question for Joe and Audrey especially, so if you two want to come up real quick. Have you ever attended a neighborhood association meeting within your district? As an elected city council person, would you be willing to commit to meet face-to-face on a regular basis, say bi-monthly or at least quarterly, with neighborhood residents to discuss what is happening within the city and to listen to our concerns and or ideas? So who wants to go first?
I'm in Riverside Subdivision, so we don't have a neighborhood association. I've talked to Deb about starting one, but I think it would be a little bit too time-consuming during a campaign. But no, I don't have a problem with meeting with neighborhood associations. I was with Blanchard Terraces Association meeting twice, Wathen Ridge, and Oak Park. If you would allow me, I would come to yours because, you know, I feel like we piggyback. I know it's not that you don't allow me. It's just that, you know, with running for office and things, and yes, so if you invite me, I'd feel obliged to come and honored because, you know, our subdivisions are right there and we're piggybacking on each other. So yes, I would come to anybody's association meeting because one thing I like to do is talk and talk and talk some more, but I do listen. I listen to everybody. I want input from everyone. So Sherry, the next one I'll be at.
Thank you, Ms. Baynes. And Mr. Parrish.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful idea, just to be able to communicate, because being on a city council, you're representing, you know, the people in the district, and you want to know what's going on in the district, and that's a great way. It's a great idea to get to know the issues. I did visit. I did attend a neighborhood meeting at Oak Park. And one thing I know is that I failed to mention earlier is drainage is an issue, and actually I've met with Oak Park Conservancy and met with Andy Crouch, who's a wonderful guy. He's our city engineer, and they have plans to start fixing some issues of drainage. And actually in the budget this year we just put in $50,000 to address that. And so it's not going to fix all the problems, but they know two really big areas where the biggest problems are, and I think they're going to try to start in those areas and then go from there. So, but that's the way to find those things out, obviously. Thank you.
Okay. This is going to be for any of the council and at large, actually. It's the same question that went to the mayor. How do you feel TIF money could go to school districts? It doesn't right now. How do you think that should be handled? 15% by law may be given to school districts.
You know, I'm learning about TIFs and all these type of things, and they do make sense in a lot of situations. I mean, it's hard to say. I'm not that familiar with what you're talking about, but I do know what TIFs do, and they definitely help develop areas, so I think they're important in certain situations. But like anything, you know, I would have to really look at the whole deal to see, you know, at what percentage, you know, makes sense. And so as far as a percentage, I couldn't say, but TIFs are a great thing in many circumstances.
And we're going to ask each of you to respond on the TIF issue.
Yeah, sorry to put everybody on the spot.
I feel like anything that can strengthen our school systems. I've been going to several of the school board rolling meetings about increasing teacher pay and trying to work the budget out so that teachers can get more pay without increasing their out-of-pocket insurance. So now, like I said, I'm a work in progress, so I'm learning. But I'm like Tom, I need to know where the line is before I say I would commit 15%, 20%, or any percent. So let's see what the facts say.
Thank you, Ms. Baynes. Mrs. Clark?
Okay, the way I've always worked with community leaders, organizations, nonprofits, and whatever the issue or the cause may be. I always make sure that I bring those folks to the table so that we can sit down and come up with a strategy to identify where those dollars are coming from, how they've been used in the past. So I think I would have to do some fact finding before I would say yay or nay, but I am 100% support teachers, and I've always been involved in North Haven School where my kids went to school. I've always been involved. So yes, I would definitely find out where the money's going.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. Mr. Croft, any at-large council members that want to answer that can come on up too.
Yes, Donnie Croft again. I'm going to have to be with everybody else here. I don't know a whole lot about it. I learned a long time ago that I don't know is not a bad answer. You improvise, you adapt, you overcome, you figure it out. You find out. I'm for anything to help our children, our kids. I mean, that's what I live by. Now, 15% of what I don't know, but I mean, if I'm elected to this, I'm going to be a new councilman. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I'll learn and I'll figure it out. But if it's something to help children, I'm for it. But at 15%, I don't understand, but I would learn. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Mr. Croft. Mary Jo.
Okay, well, my take on this is that the TIF actually is related to the redevelopment side of the local government, and so that is a good mayor question. And if it is depending on the debt ratio, it would be something to work with the redevelopment and city council, and as somebody very new, I would have to look into it and then see what is the best. That's all.
Thank you, Miguel. And then we have Mr. Slater and Mr. Ellis.
Yeah, not much different. I mean, I teach business development and growth strategy, and from the mayor's office to the city council, it's about managing resources. And I think you have to sit down with school board. You have to look at, the city's budgets before you can allocate percentages of anything, and understand where the dollars are, what's debt, what's revenue, and what's going to make sense short term and what's going to make sense long term before you make any decisions.
Thank you, Mr. Hampton. Mr. Slater.
How do you feel TIF money that could go to school districts but doesn't should be handled? 15% by law may be given to school districts.
The most important part that she just said is by law. By law. We can't go breaking the law. If we are mandated to do something, our city has to do it. Now, it's important to remember it can be given. Okay, so it's not mandated. It can't be given. The important information that's not being talked about is it was either in 2016 or 2017 there was an annex of the 10th Street TIF, Tax Increment Finance District, which runs up to the roundabout. So past the roundabout is where you got the escape theater, you've got all them additional buildings coming through. It's right in there where it clearly indicates that Jeffersonville entered into agreement with the greater Clark County schools to give them a percentage off of that additional area. So therefore, that if that is supposed to go to them, then by all means, we're supposed to give them that money. The other thing to remember is part of the reason why Clark County Schools has not got as much money as they're supposed to is because there's these things called circuit breakers, and that's a tax cap. So it's a complicated issue. I'm on board for education.
Thank you. Sorry, I forgot about the time. I just got lost in TIF dollars. Mr. Ellis and then Mr. Snelling. Right? Whoever answered that or asked that question.
Currently, the school system does get money from the TIF. There was an agreement. I'm not exactly sure what the date of that agreement was, but there is some money that goes from the TIF to the school system. I'm very leery about just promising someone 15%, any organizations or any entity, 15% of anything without some negotiations. And I tell you, that's why we have an executive in the city. That's why it's up to him and his department heads to negotiate these situations before they come to the city council. And I also, when I look at the school board and see what the school board does, I just saw that they had a meeting where I think they approved like $15 million. The school board has an opportunity to change your tax rates. As a matter of fact, if you check your tax rates, school board has a big cut in those tax rates. So I better shut up.
Thank you. And Mr. Snelling. You get 1 minute.
1 minute, okay.
Ready? Whenever you start talking.
No, it's good. What they're talking about is redevelopment did promise it's 10% for the development area on the East End that goes to the school system. The other night, North Haven had their fall festival. I got to meet a teacher who also is one of the representatives for the teachers union. It's Miss Thomas. She took me to school and explained the tax dollars and what they're using the money for. One thing Greater Clark did do, but people didn't realize, but they did change their mind. When the state allowed more money per percentage for all the states, for all the counties, Greater Clark County at first was not going to use that money, which is roughly $700,000. They were going to use it for other projects and not give it to the teachers, but they have since decided to go ahead and give it to the teachers. Our teachers are our backbone because they are the ones who are with our children every day, Monday through Friday, 8 hours a day. And I support teachers. They're underpaid. We need to find more funding for them. I don't know the debt exactly if we can give 15% to them or not, but I would definitely be open to look at it, and any money that we can come up with more for them, I would be for the teachers.
Thank you, Mr. Snelling.
Yes, and this question's going to go to anybody that knows the answer to it, because I don't, and I'm not sure unless you're a current council member that you would know. Probably only the current council members would know. I've been told by business owners that Youngstown Shopping Center is being bought by the city of Jeffersonville. Is that true, and what will be built on that property?
They haven't let me know.
It's redevelopment totally. So,
We have a member of the redevelopment commission here.
is there a member of the redevelopment commission here?
Mr. Hawkins is on that.
Oh, hey, come on up, Monty. Oh, you've got a bet. It hasn't been bought? It hasn't. Okay, that's a moot point. Is it going to be purchased is the question. No. Okay, we have to go on because we have other questions. This is pretty good, I think, for all the council members. How will you determine the work of each district? How will you determine the work of each district? For instance, who takes priority? How will you work with other councilmen?
Donnie Croft again. The priority is districts of the voters, the people I would represent if I'm fortunate enough to win. And it's with social media and every bit of literature I've turned out. It's got every way to contact me in the world. And I'm not going to vote any different than what the taxpayers say. So that's what I do about the district. That's what I'm supposed to look after. If I win the 5th district, I'm going to do just what they asked me to do and nothing different. Thanks.
That would be refreshing for a change.
Thank you, Mr. Hodge. Absolutely. Anybody can answer that question. You have 1 minute.
One of the things, I'm council at large, so I represent all of the districts. But I'd like for you to know that the squeaky wheel gets the oil. If the people that come and make the most noise, well, Barbara, you're going to always get yours. But we get in there and we talk with each other. All of the council members hopefully can continue to work together. You know, I can't say that we have that now, but that's the priorities that we get for each district. Whichever councilman sometimes makes the most noise gets the most.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. Mr. Hampton.
So one of the reasons I'm running is just that question. I've gone to some council meetings over the years, and I've engaged council members, and sometimes they don't really know what's going on in and out of district or at large. So one of the things I feel like we have to do as a community of leaders is that we have to have a master plan for what's happening in the city at large, which is going to scale out what's going to happen in what districts. All the city council members, regardless of party, and mayor should be working together for the betterment of the community at large. And those are the statements that we need to put out there. We ought to have more gatherings of the community and understanding what the community wants within their spaces, and so that we're building out budgets to fit that.
Thank you, Mr. Hampton. Ms. Clark, did you want to answer that question?
Okay, one thing that I have experienced is taking volunteers and going to the State House in Indianapolis and talking about issues that impact our citizens, whether is a breast cancer, cervical cancer program, getting more dollars for that, or a research project. But you definitely have to, as she said, be the squeaky wheel. You definitely have to bring those parties together and discuss it and come up with a solid plan. But you have to remain, true to your constituents, and I believe in that involves you listening to them and making sure that they're heard. And you take that voice back and you sit down and you discuss, and hopefully you can come together with a plan.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. Mr. Snelling?
Again, if it goes back to when I opened up and said why I was running for at large, I'm running for all of Jeffersonville, not just a particular area. If we can't come together and reason, Jeffersonville is going to fail. And we're at the point now where we're on that, we can expand on everything that's going on by bringing in the district people. But one key thing is civic leaders. Civic leaders do not get the respect that they deserve a lot of places. They're the ones who are in the community. They know what projects need to be done. They know what housings are in trouble, where flooding is. In your neighborhood associations, like you said, your groups, we need to work together. I grew up playing sports. I had Jeff across my chest, not a district. That's why I'm for all of Jeffersonville. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Snelling. Mr. Schlater?
I think the number one important issue is trust. I think if the community can trust its leaders, they will come to them and say, look, this is what we need in our particular area. It's important to remember you've got to have a majority of vote on a council meeting in order to get anything done. As recent with the council, they're all available on YouTube. You can see that there has been decisions made within our council about whether or not tax credits go to one or two different entities, whether they go to the redevelopment or the UEZ. We have 7 tax increment finance districts within our city. If the redevelopment commission, which I believe we need TIFs, it's important for these in our city. These monies are important. But when we have members on our council that are voting based on what commission or board that they are on and not voting for the legislation responsibility that they have for the citizens and the residents, then we're not getting the votes that the residents are asking for. And that's one issue that I completely disagree with, and I will be proactive to resolve. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Schlater. Ms. Baynes, you want to answer that one?
Really, it's not a right or wrong answer to the question, but my motto is we're all on the same team. And being a former basketball player, if 4 of them are out there hustling and I'm just trying to pad my stats, chances are we're not going to win. So I've gone to people and they have told me I am a Republican. I said, well, Coach, let's talk. Let's talk about 3 things that you have in common with me. So yes, I want to listen to everyone, so everyone's voice is as important as mine. So when you close off your mind to other people, then you're not getting what they want you to convey to them. So yes, talk to people, but mainly listen.
Thank you, Ms. Baynes. We have one last question.
This is for the mayor and the council, folks. Should the number of appointees to boards and commissions be split evenly between the city council and the mayor?
We're just going to run down. You just say yes or no. I'm just kidding. To go first. Mr. Can you say it into the state statute? There you go. You say it better than I do.
For a lot of our commissions and other boards, they're governed by state statute. State statute says how many people, and I'll go to the Fire and Police Merit Board. If you look at the merit board, the city council has one vote on that merit board. The mayor gets to put 2 people on that merit board. And then the union that represents them also gets to put 2 people on that. And a lot of the other commissions or boards that the city has, it's all governed by what state statute says for that particular entity.
All right, thank you. Mr. Mayor, did you want to add to that? That was total. I just meant Mr.
I'm hopeful. Be quite frank with you, I'm hopeful. That's what I'm working for. The most important thing is to get political appointments out from the council and the mayor's office and get people who want to move the city forward and I'm not going to put myself on a board. I'm going to put qualified people on there so they can help look at it, because the more people you have involved, the better off the outcome is. And that's what I want to do. The state statute says who gets to appoint them. The key thing is appoint qualified people, not just yourself. That's what I want to do.
Thank you, Mr. Galligan. Mayoral candidates. Anybody else want to add to that? I'm going to let Barb close. Before she does that, I'm going to say that I was a classroom teacher for 9 years, and the best educational experience leaves you with more questions than you have answers. So I hope you've gotten something from this. I'm school board president for Greater Clark County Schools, and I've definitely got something out. I'm going to go back and look at what those agreements are and make sure that I'm just as educated as the people I represent. So thank you guys so much for coming, and here's our president.
First, I want to thank all of you. There were 77 of you in total tonight, so thanks. That's a good showing. You did not, however, beat New Albany, and you're bigger, so next time you have to do better. The other thing I want to say is that the League of Women Voters and JNLA are civic organizations. 2 of the elected officials who did not come tonight referred to us as political organizations. We are not. I'm the president. Everybody knows I'm a liberal Democrat. If you don't, your head has really been in the sand. Katie, however, is a Republican. Jennifer is a Libertarian. Shiloh is about the most independent voter you've ever hoped, and that's your leadership. So we are not a political organization. We are a civic organization that demands that people be heard as citizens. We are to educate, inform, and offer opportunity for that dialogue to happen between the citizens and between elected officials. When the elected officials fail to show up, then they fail to hear you. And that's what I have to say about that. This opportunity is offered to you as a community, and we want the respect of all our elected officials, and we want them to show that respect to the people who are going to be voting for them. Thank you very much. Good night.